but nutrition need a diversified diet. With this particular point, I start my presentation on indigenous vegetables of Andaman and Nicobar Islands on the topic food perceptions, nutritional and nutraceutical profiles of Indian Nicobar Islands is situated around 1300 kilometers from the mainland India, and they are made an archipelago of around 572 islands, and they are spread around 780 kilometers, and 38 islands are inhabited. So there is difficult for the logistics and all that kind of supports to carry out the food supply regularly. In this particular situation, when we talk about the climate and the supply system and all that, you can see that there is two distinct seasons in Andaman Nicobar Islands. One is the rainy season that spans from May to November, around 6-7 months, and only the 3-4 months are dry period. During the dry period, most of the commercial vegetables are taking the part, while in the rainy season, most of the part is taken by the indigenous crops, indigenous vegetables and all that. And we can see that only 6% area is allotted to the agriculture, and that has to cater the need of the local population of around 4 lakh and around 0.38 million of the tourists which are visiting to the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. And in that particular segment, if you see that production of the vegetables and all that, most of the part is taken by the other vegetables that includes most part of the indigenous crops. When we go by some detailed analysis of the points which are the background of this particular investigation, we can see that there are 6-7 different indigenous tribes which are constituting very small part, 6.87% of the population. But this is very important part, very important constituent of that island population. And the important part is that a traditional food system, which is most prevalent in the tribals, indigenous tribes, as well as the rural settlers also, that is still prevalent in that islands. And because any change in the food system and all that affects their habits or their livelihood and all that. And these kind of vegetables need to be supported, because what is happening, either you talk about potato, onion or whatever crops, all these are being transported from the mainland, and that's why there is a phenomena in the particularly urban areas of the Andamans is the transport dependency. Whenever potato, something coming from the mainland, and then it is edible, that is going to the kitchen and all that. So to ease that kind of things, we have to promote the local food crops, and in that I'm talking about indigenous vegetable crops, which are contributing to the livelihood of the islands. You can see around for nutrition as well as to livelihood also. There are weekly markets, Sunday markets are there in different parts of the islands, in different islands. We have surveyed all that, and they are contributing around 1,200 to 3,900 rupees per person per month, and they are affordable. They are acceptable. People are saying that healthy foods are costly, but my study says, or my observation said, they are cheap in this particular climatically challenged regions or remote regions. You can see there is a lot of questions about definition and all that. We have made some criteria. They are indispensable to traditional food system. There is no agrotechnics, no seed production system, no marketing, and no research support for these crops. The criteria are well matched with the international criteria given by different agencies. And with this, we have made some objectives for this study to document indigenous vegetables, to generate information on the food perceptions, and to find out the nutritional values and support some measures. We can see the standard methodology we have applied. All the 3 districts we have covered, 15 different villages we have covered for the consumers, and 6 islands for the market survey and all that. Around 300 respondents we have taken in the study. This is the profile of the respondents. This is native tribe, Nicobari only tribe we have used because of the administrative reasons. And rest of the settler communities in the rural villages like Bengalis, Tamil we have used. That study included both the male and female parts. Around most of them are literate, because islands have very good literacy, and 86% is there. So the botanical parameters, this is very important part of the study that we have taken, like habitat, how they are growing, wild, cultivated or all that, growing season, habit, tree or what kind of they are there. Then consumer parameters, 4 parameters we have taken. Market parameters, they are linked with the consumer parameters we have taken. Some ecological parameters also we have taken. This is our visits to different places, interaction through the local people and the tribal people in the Nicobar Islands, Little Andaman and all that. We have made our own based on some Prioni 2007 paper. We made preference score for the food and the nutritional parameters. A standard methodology was used by my colleagues, Mr. Abid and Salim, and we could find that botanical description was most important for us to go ahead for the breeding program and all that. we can see that so many indigenous vegetables are there. You can see some of the pictorial presentation here. Then coming to their botanical description, we have, as I was telling, family, habitat, season, habit, edible part, what is there. They include tree vegetables as well. They include vines and shrubs, and they are so many herbs are there. So these are the vegetables which are covered in this particular study. There were 42 different indigenous vegetables we have covered. You can see that most of the part is covered by the herbs only, and many are them perennial. They just grow their own, and they just farmers usually harvest them mostly during the dry season, the rainy season. You can see that where they grow mostly in the wild, around 19%, home gardens 12%, farm or home garden. In farm means it in the wild state only, in the 14%, and there are 55% in the transition phase. Means transition phase because there is home gardens is prevalent in the islands, so they are coming in that one. When we further dissect the transition phase, they covers wild to home garden, wild to farm, home garden to farm, and to both also. When, as I was talking about the availability of the season, mostly around 57% of the indigenous vegetables are available in the rainy season. The main reason is that during the dry phase, there is no water in the natural habitats, which is the wild. And another thing is that most of the farmers are growing tribals, so that the farmers are growing that commercial vegetables because they can gain some money on, and all the markets are flooded by them. So when we talk about the products, very important part is that how many parts are being used for a particular vegetable. And we could find that maximum of the vegetables, around 21 vegetables, have 3 different parts which are being used for different preparations. And you can see that around there are 1 or 2 vegetables which are having so many preparation activities. If more preparation activities, it is difficult for them to take up for the in larger scale. These are the different products traditionally being used. We made we interacted with, we could find that idli, vada, biscuits, they are also trying to fortify because of some NGOs and all that. This is the range of the minerals in different indigenous vegetables. You can see that calcium and all that. This is the polyphenols, chlorophyll and ascorbic acid we have estimated. There are important nutrients in that one. You can see that these are the anti-nutrients, and these are very important. Somebody says availability, we have to see the plant matrix in the total because so many anti-nutrients are there. We can see that these are the consumer preferences and all that. 52 to 715 gram per day, whenever they are consuming this much, so they are consuming. The consumption frequency is 1.4 to 18.1, means that per month they are consuming so many times. So this is the details. My details are available in the food security, my paper in food security. Volume of the collected vegetables. So when we talk about 59.2 kg per month they are harvesting during the rainy season, and if we take up in a calculation around 394.6 gram they are contributing the rainy season, but in dry season the availability is very low and their contribution to the diet is very low. You can see that correlation between the average consumption frequency and cultivation index is positive, and similarly average preference score and cultivation intensity is also positive. So it means there's some how they are getting in the market also. As I have shown in some of the slides, you can see here we have started conservation program. We could find some improved lines also, and they are identified by the variety lineage committee, their promotion programs. And in conclusion, I can say that we have so many indigenous vegetables in India, but at least some prioritized vegetables should be taken up to the tribals and all that through the improving their kitchen gardens and all that. And we have initiated the program in tribal sub-plan in 2013-15. We could contribute around 50 different home gardens. They have to be taken up in different breeding programs also to remove the anti-nutrients and to make for good quality and uniformity and all that. And they are important agents for the climate change agriculture also, which we can see. These are the different papers on these vegetables. If anybody is interested, can please go through. I thanks to the organizers and Director Kerry Port Blair and Director IRI, where I am working now. Thank you.